This video was sponsored by the World Caregiver Network. For more information, visit www.worldcaregivernetwork.com.
What is up, everybody? This is Nemo, and welcome to this special edition of the Skeletons of Society podcast. This will be free on Patreon, as well as uploaded as video to YouTube for your listening and somewhat viewing pleasure, as I have just created a static image to go along with my musings about the Joker movie. I first wanted to see this movie when my friend Jamie from the Punk Static and Lycan Theory channels and I reviewed a trailer for it in one of our semi-weekly trailer review streams on his channel. The first trailer that I watched, it was just hit right on the money for what I wanted to see out of this character in a new film. I know a lot of people were apprehensive about Joaquin Phoenix doing this role, as you know, most people are definitely in love with Heath Ledger's portrayal of the character in the film The Dark Knight. But knowing how awesome of an actor Joaquin Phoenix is, I was super excited to see him in this role. And the director, Todd Phillips, who normally does comedy, you've probably read the articles or seen the articles about his involvement in doing this film. I was really looking forward to see how a person who normally directs comedy movies would go about a more serious film like this. And wow, was I surprised. This film is probably one of the best movies I've seen in years. And not just because I do enjoy the titular character of the Joker. Throughout Batman, growing up watching the classic Michael Keaton movie with Jack Nicholson, the animated series where the Joker was voiced by Mark Hamill, all the way to The Dark Knight with Heath Ledger as the Joker and that iconic portrayal of the character, and now Joaquin Phoenix. And this movie, technically, to me, is not really a Batman universe movie. I feel like that's kind of how it had to be to sell this kind of movie. And surely it fits in with kind of an origin of the Joker, and not being as familiar with the comics, but more just toward the movies and somewhat the old series with Adam West. And it's not firmly planted in my head everything about the Joker. I'm no comic guru. I don't know everything about the Batman universe or comics in general. I am a nerd. That's just not what my nerd expertise is really in. But that said, I love the character of the Joker. I love how maniacal he is, how just truly depraved and insane he is. And this movie just explored the breakdown of Arthur Fleck to the point where he just morphed into this Joker persona. And the film just takes his mediocrity and shows the downfall all the way to the bottom of the barrel just amazingly. And I think deeper within this movie, it kind of sums up, and let's bring this back to the manosphere here, it kind of sums up how men have felt recently, especially, but awkward kind of, socially inept men, not just mentally ill men, but men that just don't fit in, that keep getting beaten and beaten and beaten down, physically, mentally, emotionally, until everything just kind of calms and you get that clarity and you just fucking snap. And I think this film shows that downward spiral in a way that a lot of people can't talk about it. Now, I don't feel like myself as a man. I don't think that I've been beaten that badly by life or by other people, but I do feel that kind of cast asideness where when shit gets real for us, it doesn't really materialize in people's brains. They don't understand. They just get looked over. And I feel like throughout the course of this movie, Fleck just feels all of this societal pressure and neglect And it just finally it takes him over. I mean, he wasn't the most mentally stable person to begin with, but when you just see him completely break down, things just train wrecks, spiral out of control, and you see him going from caring to just saying fuck it, fuck the world, fuck everything. I'm content in who I am and what I'm gonna be, and he just fucking goes with it. And this movie kind of brings all these things up in my head. I don't know about anybody else's. I tried not to watch anybody else's reviews before, and now after, I'm trying to keep all these thoughts organically in my own brain and let it come out of my own mouth. And I don't want to spoil this movie, but just certain scenes grip me. Now is the point where you might want to skip ahead a little bit. I'm going to spoil a couple scenes in the movie. I'll give you a couple seconds. Okay, so spoiler alert. One of the scenes that really caught my attention, Arthur's mother has a stroke and is in the hospital. He finds out some information about her, things that she's lied about. He went from a caring son to learning all these things about his abusive mother, the situations that she put him in. He goes to the hospital, grabs a pillow, and smothers his own mother to death. You see this in a lot of these men that have had, been raised in single parent relationships where they get stuck with abusive stepfathers and their mothers don't do a damn thing about it and just let the abuse happen. That takes a toll on a man. We all know the studies show that single mother households are not effective. Single parent households are not effective. A child needs both parents to help them thrive and survive in the world, and Arthur Fleck never had that chance. Just like a lot of young men don't have that chance, and they get ruined by these women. And what do you think makes an incel? What do you think makes an incel? I don't think this is what Phillips was going for with this scene, but it is a strong reminder to those who have taken the red pill. And I feel like even if it wasn't this movie's intention, this is a very red-pilled movie. This is a very red-pilled movie. And I do think that the incel kind of movement will resonate with this story, because it's basically a Hollywood production of their life, albeit with Joaquin Phoenix as the Joker. But a lot of men, especially men that have had these bad experiences, be it with women, with parents, with society as a whole, they're gonna feel a very strong connection to the themes and the characters within this movie. And that is one poignant scene. The next scene that really gripped me, and these are both toward the end of the movie, that he has idolized this local Gotham talk show, late night show host, kind of like a Johnny Carson, because this all takes place around like the early 80s, late 70s. Like a New York City kind of situation. You know how Gotham is kind of, sometimes it ends up being like New York. So he's idolized this character for his whole life. He gets recorded at a comedy club doing his act, and he breaks out in hysterical laughter because if you see the film, he has a condition where he breaks out in maniacal laughter for apparently no reason. So he tries his hand at stand-up comedy and goes to a comedy club, and he's telling his jokes. Obviously they're not very good. But he gets filmed, and somebody sends the footage to this late night host, who basically shows the footage on his show and lambastes Fleck for being a terrible comedian. This resonates with Fleck, obviously. But the response was so grand that he got asked to be a guest on the show. And this is right during one of his big mental breakdowns within this movie. So he goes on the show and asks to be introduced as Joker. By this time, he is transformed. He's dyed his hair green. He comes into the show in the full clown makeup amidst the giant fiasco that's going on in Gotham. You'll have to see the movie to figure out all of the subtext of this. I know I'm spoiling some of the scenes, but I still want you to see the movie, even if you listen to these spoilers. So he goes in, and with much chagrin to the production manager of the show, the talk show host allows him to come on and introduces him as Joker. And Joaquin Phoenix makes a very poignant speech about people being thrown away in society and looked down upon by the rich, which is a very, telling thing about our current political climate and social climate today. Some of these issues are going on right now, which is probably, it's definitely intentional, because we know that Todd Phillips was going against the whole woke culture, and that's why he got out of directing comedies, because he couldn't, and he felt like he was being held back. So this speech that Joker makes on the show is gripping, and it gets people, at least everybody in the theater, was just laser focused on the screen watching this. And he and the talk show host get into a scuffle, and needless to say, the Joker blows his brains out live on the air and creates mass hysteria within Gotham, which was already building. In this scene, my jaw dropped. First off, that they let that get into this movie, even though that shouldn't be an issue, but in today's culture, something like that getting into a major motion picture with the anti-hero kind of becoming the hero would be looked down upon. But the scene was just so powerful and completely set up the ending sequences of this film, and it mirrors the way that a lot of, I would say, outskirts and almost now the mainstream, getting back in the mainstream society, feels, is that everybody, you look down on these people who you consider less than you, without considering the fact that they're actually people as well, and they deserve to be noticed, and not for anything brave or stunning that they've done, but just noticing people for being people. And that can do a lot. That can do a lot personally. This is me speculating here. This has nothing to do with the movie, but this is my thought, is that when you notice people as people, they're generally happier. You don't have to be all in love with everybody that you meet, but just to notice and acknowledge people's existence is not a terrible thing. Now, it's not really good to placate people for existing, thinking that because they decided to identify as one thing or another that they're super special and need validation. That's not the point. The point is noticing people, because everybody has a story, and you only know fucking ant's dick-sized portion of it. And that scene, just wow, it's brilliantly done. It starts the whole ending sequence to this fantastic movie, and that is all the spoiling of anything that I'm going to do with this film. Just to sum it up, the Joker film, it is one of those movies that only comes around every so often, and amidst remakes and prepackaged superhero bundles and live action redos of classic Disney movies, and your standard action films, your standard comedy films, your standard horror films, this movie has a story for, that can stand the test of time. This is kind of a story that anyone can relate to, and I think it's going to hold up over the years. And I also think that Joaquin Phoenix is going to go down as an amazing Joker. Not to take away from Heath Ledger's Joker, who is still just a fantastic portrayal of that character, but this is something completely different. This is a not fully realized Joker. This is Joker at his base, at his origins, at his beginning. And that is what makes this film different. That is what makes this film special. And I believe that you all should go see it. Whether you're red-pilled, not red-pilled, in the manosphere, not in the manosphere, if you're against woke culture, and even if you're for woke culture, you should kind of see this and get the other side of the story, because this shit's getting out of control, and there are so many people like the Joker character out in the world, and you don't know when that time bomb's gonna go off. You don't. Nobody knows when these time bombs are gonna go off, but we have to realize that there's a possibility that people are gonna snap, and if maybe someone would show them a little bit of compassion, the snap wouldn't happen. All in all, Todd Phillips directed Joker. Fantastic movie. You will not regret going to the movie theater to see this. You will not get shot, or you shouldn't get shot. I didn't. My girlfriend and I walked out of the theater just fine. So until the next time, I've been Nemo. This has been the Skeletons of Society podcast, special edition Joker. And I will see you all on the next one. Don't forget to check out my Patreon for more. And if you like this podcast, please consider subscribing to my Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You get access to all of my podcasts. I try to do them bi-monthly. I just got off of a month break after getting my dentures done. Now it should be back to a regularly bi-monthly podcast. Also, make sure you like this video, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Bang the bell if you like my content. And if you would like to make a donation to help keep this channel and podcast running, my PayPal link will be in the description box below. And I will see you on the next episode of Skeletons of Society.
This video was sponsored by the World Caregiver Network. For more information, visit www.worldcaregivernetwork.com.